That Sober Guy podcast contains adult content, merciless truth, and emotional nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
Yo, what's up? Thank you for tuning in today. Thanks to Humans for bringing us in. Thanks to you for supporting the show. I'm Shane Raymer. You're listening to That Sober Guy podcast, where we talk about drugs, alcohol, recovery. We talk about all kinds of stuff on here, depending on how the day's going and what guest is on the show today. And today we got my good buddy Matt Gallagher on. Matt's an actor, a comedian, a storyteller who was born in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Both sides of his family were Irish bar owners, and he grew up with six sisters and no brothers. Always loved that rhyme, man. Now, Matt's latest special is called To Stumble in the Woods, which chronicles his unconventional life from kindergarten through his slide into addiction and into recovery. And before we get to Matt, be sure to check us out at thatsoberguy.com. You can also connect with us on Instagram at RealThatSoberGuy and on Twitter at Shane Raymer. Real quick, finding the right treatment option for addiction and mental health illness can be tough. And that's why Sober Guys continue to partner with Foundations Recovery Network. They stay true to their mission. They have high ethical standards, and they provide treatment in a nationwide network of residential and outpatient programs. If you want to learn more about Foundations Recovery Network, you can go to foundationshelp.com/soberguy, or you can call 833-81-SOBER. That's 833-81-SOBER. You can talk with an admissions coordinator. They can answer any questions for yourself or a loved one. So one more time, that's 833-81-SOBER, foundationshelp.com/soberguy. All right, one last thing. We got a live show coming up at the Hollywood Improv June 23rd. That's a Sunday. It's an early show. We figure all of us ex-drug addicts and drinkers, man, we're trying to do right today, so we get to bed early, man. we can't stay up past that. So I think the show doors open at 4. The show starts at 4:30. We're gonna have some great special guests. We're gonna have some fun. Tickets are $10. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, you want to come out, help support the recovery community, listen to some podcasting, and have some fun, you can go to thatsoberguy.com, click on live shows, or you can go directly to improv.com/Hollywood, and you can pick up your tickets there. All right, Matt Gallagher, man, it's really great to have you on. We've been going back and forth for a minute trying to do this thing, and I appreciate you taking some time today, man.
No, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, how's things, dude? I see you're back out, man. You're at the Comedy Store recently. You got an improv show coming up. The Stumble in the Woods special came out a few months back, which was lots of storytelling. You got a family. You got all kinds of things going on, man. Where the hell do we start?
Yeah, no, I mean, when I take a step back, and that's one of the, I think, keys to my recovery is when I get grateful for what I got, things are good. I mean, I can ruin a free lunch if I let my mind go for it, But yeah, when I step back, I got healthy kids. My son just bought a Dodgers hat yesterday. He's 5 and he's like, he wanted one. And I was like, yeah, I grew up a Phillies fan, but I was like, yeah, I'm raising a kid in Hollywood. He should have a Dodgers hat. And so, yeah, that made me happy. I took him to the Renaissance Fair the other day, let my daughter shoot some bows and,
nice.
Get him outside. Just things are good. And then the shows, yeah. I got to do the Comedy Store. And, I mean, that's like a big arc in my life. Like, I auditioned for Mitzi years ago when I was drinking. And it was that was the problem when I was drinking. Like, some nights I get on stage and, the spirit was in me and I was flowing. And then you try and repeat that and, do that right combination of, booze and speed. And so you go up on stage and you start like kind of stuttering and you're flop sweating and you're like, I didn't get the potion right. And years later I went and auditioned for her again. And, I did well. She told me, hang out there and, audition. She was tough. But then I had a relapse. And so getting to perform there again, it feels like I've come full circle. Yeah. And it was good. I was on stage. I'm doing what I do now, which is another thing I try and be as honest as I can. So, sometimes that bites me in the ass, but I'm not trying to make up fantastical stories and tell them on stage for a punchline. I'm trying to tell what's really going on in my life. And I get, I just get honest, and people seem to, to like it. I started with the storytelling. now I'm bringing it into my comedy. And I mean, that's what George Bernard Shaw said. People tell me to tell them a joke, and I just tell them the truth. And I tell what's really going on.
Yeah, I feel like people like that too, man. People want that. They want the truth. They want to hear honesty. And I think, man, what I've found is just my normal life is so chaotic, and it could just be funny in itself, but it's weird things that you got to find the comedy almost in stuff,
Yeah. I mean, if you're not amazed by life, you're not really living it. People say, is this all there is? I'm like, what, are you kidding? I mean, get out, go look around. You know what I mean? There is stuff happening. Yeah. And, and the way my brain works is like, I can dissect stuff and, break it down. Why did this happen? Why did it go this way? Why isn't the world like this? And, in darker days, that would get me like, paralyzed. I could be, or else I needed a drink to face the world. I had too many worries and concerns. Yeah. But, I got right in, behind the eyes, and I can, take a look at the world with like a half a grin and go, it's ridiculous. It's a joke. Life's a joke. Yeah. You got to, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I can talk for an hour about my experience at the farmer's market. Just like how much of it is bullshit, how much of it's real, the honey lady and her, her spiel, okay.
There's always a honey lady, huh?
There's always a honey lady.
No matter what, I know.
Oh, yeah. So and they tell you stuff like, the bees fly to the wildflowers here, and I got bees that do sage. I'm like, what, you train the bees? You know what I mean? They fly north to the wildflowers and south to the sage. Yeah. Like, because you can taste the sage. I'm like, I don't want to taste sage. I want to taste honey. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And when I said on stage, and then I just said, like, out of the blue, I just, worked out. I one time said, if I want honey that tastes like what they eat, I'll find the bees that attack the quinceanera in Griffith Park. You know what I mean? Get some more shot of honey. Yeah. So I get a kick out of doing that. And I do. You get people who have, there's a lot of, it's a different time now. Everybody knows somebody who's in recovery, or they're recovered themselves. And what I see is people on stage a lot saying, oh, I'm a big drinker, I'm a stoner, and they're using some kind of nonsense made up story in their head so that they can tell a punchline. Now, the difference is when I go up there, like if it happens to come out of my mouth, it comes from a real person who struggled with addiction and, was a morning drinker for 15 years, so. And that's when I see the heads, either people, because somebody goes, Jesus, I've heard that one, you know what I mean? Or I know what he's talking about. And I'm good with that. I'll take a little bit of authenticity over easy made joke writing tricks any day.
Yeah. And I like that style a lot it's almost like a freestyle session in a sense. And I think it really equates over to recovery well too. Just in the powerlessness aspect of it. When we talk about being powerless over things, I'm really putting myself out there on the daily, trying to, let go. Like that's one word that it comes to mind. I just thought of my sponsor right there. He says that a lot. We'll just let go, we're not trying to control things. We're going out there. We're being honest. We're trying to be truthful. And if we can find the comedy in some of that stuff, in the day-to-day stuff, man, that's because at the end of the day, like you said, it really comes back to, is it really that serious? Like, and obviously, there's some serious things that happen to us in life, but a lot of the times I know for myself, it's the little things that really that can get to me that aren't really that fucking serious,
Yeah, if someone else told it to you, you'd laugh at them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, you're like, what are you getting in a fight about? And like what you're doing is you're doing what I'm doing. I've listened to your podcast, and you just go, here's the topic, and you say how it's affecting you at this moment.
Exactly.
And you're being honest with it. And when they say practice these principles in all our affairs, that's what it's about. Like if you got a 24-hour, this is the image I'm going to put out, this is the spiel that I'm willing to, show the world. Eventually that's going to bite you in the ass, because you're going to get a question or a situation is going to throw you off balance, or you're going to say something you regret. At least if you're being honest and you get into the habit of saying what's really on your mind or how things really affect you,
Yeah.
you're going to have a better chance. My sponsor, the thing with him is you got to practice talking and telling people what's going on. You can't do it when all the guns are pointed at your head, it's too late then. If you don't get into the habit of telling the truth, talking to another person, when something goes down, you're not going to be ready to be like, oh, what's that guy's number? Who's that person I'm willing to share my soul with, So, it really did come about where I was just like, I feel much better about myself when I'm telling the truth more.
Yeah. Sure, man. How long you been sober for, Matt?
It'll be, I had 7 years, and then I made the mistake of thinking I was cured because I moved to a different state and I was married. I stopped doing comedy, and it was the old Barber Shop analogy, man. You hang out, and I was running a restaurant, and they had, my job was to select wines, and I just was playing the game, pretending I was a guy in a suit, and I started off innocently enough, like sip the wine, spit in the bucket, sip the wine, forget to spit in the bucket, and that was hard coming back. Like, it took me a while, and now I'll have June 4th will be 5 years back.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Congrats, bro, man. That's coming up soon. That's less than a month, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff, bro.
It was a whole different type of bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, my first bottom was, the one you think you're going to have, overdoses, firing from jobs, suicide attempts, humiliation, it was the full, Hollywood script of terrible.
Yeah.
And the second bottom to me was sadder for me. I mean, it was, to be honest, like I was white knuckling it. I became a wino. I was just sneaking wine constantly and working in a restaurant, drinking, vodka drinks and, in the hallways. And I couldn't stop. And I was in and out of rooms for months and months and months.
So you were drinking, trying to get sober, or at least attempt to. You had that thought like, damn, I just blew 7 years. I'm kind of in and out of. Can I ask you too, is there any way you can attach? I see your microphone. Is there any way you can attach it because it's rubbing on your shirt there?
Oh shit! Sorry.
It like on the, or maybe like if it won't, dude, it's all good, bro. But I just noticed that.
I got it. I am new to this game. Technology is not my strong suit.
Well, that's all good, man.
Okay, how's that?
Perfect, bro. That's much better. Okay, so anyways, you were saying you're in the restaurant, you were sneaking drinks in the hallway, vodka drinks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then I know, and then it was 3 bottles a day of wine, and each time I tried to come back, that's the other thing. Like people say, I got meetings in the bank. That's fine. You should go to as many meetings as you can. But when you stop going to meetings, your account's drained. You know what I mean? Like I would try and go to, I'd be like, I'd do something wrong at home and I'm like, I'll go to a meeting. And I go to a meeting and I wouldn't drink for a day. And then I, do 3 days and then I'd drink again. Yeah. And it wasn't until I got serious. And I knew I got serious because I called the guy I did steps with in New York. He's got 30 years. And then I remembered a meeting that I heard had a lot of people with time. I drove over to there and I started counting days and doing 90 and 90. And I haven't had a drink since.
Nice.
So you can't, I mean, it's stuff, like you tell people who are not in recovery, you got to get serious. I've talked to sponsees like, listen, you can't play games with this. I got people in my family who think that they can, find the easier, softer way. And
for someone out there who doesn't know, maybe someone new too, what's 90 and 90?
It's a recommended way to start for sure, but it's 90 meetings in 90 days. And that's, it always sounds like, whoa, man, I do something every day. I don't go to the gym 90 days. Like, sorry, it's, it's just if you really want a good chance at saving your life.
Yeah.
I know a guy, Lewis, who says I do 90 and 90 4 times a year. That's his thing. He goes to a meeting every day, at least. Yeah. But nobody's going to kick you out if you miss a day. But if you can make that commitment, especially at the beginning, say, I'm going to make it a priority to make a meeting every day. get that foundation going. Just so, for me, when I did that, when I got out of rehab, I ended up living a block and away from the Al-Anon house, which was, Bill W's home group. Like that was one of his home groups in Manhattan, and they have a clubhouse there now, and there's like 6 meetings a day. So I was 2 blocks away from there. I was doing a couple meetings a day forever. And stuff starts seeping in, you start hearing. And if you do 90 meetings in 90 days, you stand a real good chance of letting stuff, break through the cobwebs. And you start hearing what this program's all about. And it's, it's pretty simple. There's a million different things about it, but you gotta, meeting makers make it. The steps are there for a reason. And, you got to get a network. You can't do it alone. Yeah. And so, you meet other people who have less time than you, the same amount of time as you, more time than you. And that's how you do it. I mean, I don't know. I tried to stay sober without talking to other alcoholics, and it was a disaster. So,
yeah. Well, I think that's a really good point, because a lot of us ran with, a lot of people who, probably were making a lot of the same choices and decisions that we were making with regard to drinking, using drugs, all that. And you stay in that goes back to the barbershop, thing. You hang around a barbershop long enough, you're eventually going to get a haircut. And when you try to get away from that, you're so right. You can't do it alone. Like I can't. And I know like that me as my own man and whatever, like, man, I got this. I can do this. I can do it on my own. Don't be a pussy. Like just nut up and you got it. That did not work. Like I tried it many times and it didn't work. And it wasn't until I started putting myself out there and connecting with other people, I was like, wait a minute. Like, wait, that guy's just like me. Like, damn, I didn't even know that was, you know what I mean? And that's when some walls started to really be broken down and that community starts to grow.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Hell's Kitchen in New York when I got sober the first time. And I was like, what am I going to do? I mean, I grew up, both sides of my family owned Irish Catholic bars. Everything I knew, I loved bars. That was what I did. I started bartending when I was 20. I was a, busboy when I was 15. Like that was my church. And I go into meetings in Hell's Kitchen and it's all Irish Teamsters, Irish, gangsters and, bookies and bartenders. I was like, whew, I was like, okay. Like all of a sudden I didn't feel like it was like I was going into some bizarro world. I walked in and I saw 50 different versions of me and plus all the other people in the world that you get to meet and actually talk to instead of walk by. And so, my world opened up. It's the strangest thing where you think, man, my life's going to get small. It's going to be tough. I've had more good conversations with men in sobriety than I ever did drinking. That was just a half shouting match or posturing or parroting back whatever everybody else said. And I mean, you don't remember half of it or any of it the next day, It's just noise. Yeah. It's just noise. Yeah. And my life got good. And there's nothing I went to a diner yesterday after a meeting. And one of the guys there got sober in New York, and he knew a buddy of ours who passed away, who helped a lot of people. He had and it was a reminder too. Like he was somebody who, he got injured and then didn't do the pain medication. Like he goes, you got to be alert. I mean, 21 years, like this stuff can get you. Yeah. And it was just a good reminder to talk to him. And I'd not that I had forgotten about this friend of ours, but I hadn't remembered this isn't a game. And I'll never have it. You know what I mean? Like it's an ongoing thing. Yeah. Like I always think about that. Like people at the gym, you can look at a person, they'll tell you they used to be, a world-class athlete. And it was like 10 years ago. And in the 10 years since, they've become world-class eaters and drinkers. Sure. And, I don't see a world-class athlete anymore.
Yeah.
Somebody looks like they got gout. And that's what happens with people in recovery. You know, as soon as somebody goes, I got a different thing. I'm doing this, Peloton bike, and I meditate, only. And it's like, okay, good luck. I wish you the best, but yeah man.
This takes work, man.
Yeah. You gotta stay in the middle of the herd.
Yeah. One of the things we were talking about before we started recording today was kind of the irony of comedy. How I think you said it yourself. A lot of comedians, although they're funny, they're also very sad inside. And I thought that it was interesting. And I'm just wondering, was that a part of your own story? Like when you were doing comedy, like you had mentioned too, I mean, you were doing over 300 shows, a year, and just out there grinding and grinding. Was that a part of your life or your drinking or?
Yeah. I mean,
or if it wasn't, what do you see out there now? What's your take on that? If it wasn't specific to you?
Yeah, I had a different path into comedy than probably most people. Not that there's a set path.
Sure.
But I goofed when I was drinking and using. I would pop in and do shows once in a while. I joined a contest. So I had done stand up a little bit, but I wasn't like in it and serious. In fact, when I was in rehab the first time, I got a call when I was in rehab from this great comedian, Jessica Curson, and she called and left me a message and said, "You had a great set the other night. There's a new club opening up." Like it was when I was just starting to bang around New York, and I don't remember the set. Like I was in rehab. I'm like, I'm in rehab. When I get out, I'll do it again. And when I got out is when I got serious about comedy. And I was probably, I was a little bit older than some of the other people who had been doing it forever. And if you just like jump into that world, it's going to be different than you think.
Yeah.
You get in there a little bit and you look around and you go, hey, they're not a bunch of happy, jolly guys and girls. There's a lot of people who have to work really hard at being funny for 10 minutes. They've put a lot of time into that. And go on a road trip with one of those guys and see how the other 24 hour and 50 minutes look.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, and a comedy is a result of it, for the most part, people dealing with, pain or rage or fear, and they channel that through there. But yeah, the fact of the matter is there's a good number of comedians who have some form of, depression, anxiety, a lot of alcohol and, drugs to, get you courage or numb the pain. Yeah. It's not the funnest group in the world to be around.
Let's jump into a question, because I think it relates to this in a sense too. This came in from David, and David said, as someone who's played in bands much of my life, being a performer, you're almost certain to always be around alcohol. I'm too early in my sobriety to be back in the band now, but how has Matt remained sober as a performer in clubs where much of the crowd, assuming, are drinking, having drinks, having fun in that environment? It's a really good question, I think, and I can't wait to hear your take on it.
It is. I was scared at first. You have to be solid. Like I knew, like, I had a really good first step, or whatever that was. I was scared enough of the first drink, and had gone through that enough times to know that it's not the caboose that kills you. It's the, the first train, So I was really clear, and I was pretty militant about, I'm not going to have a drink. And I was also willing, if things got tough, I was like, got to go. Out of here. Going to get on the phone. And like I said, when I started, I was lucky enough. The main club that I was working on was on 46th Street. I lived on 48th Street, and the home group, AA Clubhouse, was on 46th and 8th. So I was never more than 200 yards from a meeting. And in that neighborhood, there was sober people. There was 2 diners. So I was lucky in that sense. Like when I started, I was as close to the bar as I was an AA room, member. So that was important. I didn't want to be on the road. I didn't want to be stuck in the green room with a bottle of vodka for an hour and a half by myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying you can. I think the main thing is it has to be pretty crystal clear in your head that first drink is the one.
Yeah.
You know, that, and there's nothing wrong with saying, can't do it tonight.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, you're kind of what you're saying is you have that support system set up. So you're pre-strategizing for game time, or however the hell you want to put it. Like, look, if it gets to a spot, I know my boundary, my limit, whatever, I can bounce out of here if I need to, or I can go make a phone call. I can step out. You have a plan, I guess. And I think that's important with anything, whether it's going to a wedding or a birthday, or, I mean, we can't hide from alcohol the rest of our lives. It's fucking everywhere. You know what I mean? So, and that's not the problem ultimately anyways. It's me. You know what I mean? I'm the issue with it. So when I'm going into that, I got to have a pregame plan always, you know, and I still try to do that, man. I still try to know, okay, like, hey, I don't really ever stay too late. Nothing good happens usually past 9 o'clock anyways, man, maybe 10, depending on what it is. But yeah, man, no, I love that because you're still able to do it. You're still out there, you know, you're doing some shows and stuff. And
I would tell Dave, like, when you were saying that, I remembered, like, I would make a call before I did a show, you know, or talk to somebody, and then have a plan. The other way people can't give you a drink is if you already have one in your hand. Yeah, so I was walking around with the soda water and cranberry. I'm good.
Yeah.
And then knowing that if you're there to play music, be there for the time you're playing music.
Yeah.
You don't have to hang out, and you get there, you be like, oh, we're on in 10 minutes. I'll be back. You know, go for a walk, take a look at the moon, say a prayer, do whatever you got to do. And then afterwards, I used to leave. I told people, I go, as soon as I hear a story twice, I can go. You know, and that was the thing. Somebody say, did I tell you about the thing? I'm like, yeah, you did. I got to go. And then nobody even knows you were left.
Yeah.
As soon as people at weddings, at bars, as soon as people start telling the stories, you know, repeating themselves, you know, you can disappear and they won't know if you left at 9 or midnight.
Yep. Time to go. I love that, man. Hey, did you just say, by the way, soda water and cranberry?
Yeah.
That's my drink right now, man. Yeah. Oh man, I've been killing those. I put a little lime or some lemon in it.
Yeah.
So good. And like, it's funny, like it's refreshing, but I'm having a little sip, you know, on something, man. I love those.
That's what I did when I started. It's kind of like the nobody knows if it's a drink or not. Nobody cares, by the way.
Yeah.
But it did make me feel good that I wasn't walking around with like, I don't know, a tea. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
A glass of milk.
Yeah. Like it looks like a drink, whatever. And yeah, it just made you, nobody asks you if you need a drink, if you're sitting there with a red drink with a straw in it.
Yeah.
Nobody. So it just eliminates that problem.
I like what you said real quick about nobody cares, dude, because nobody gives two shits most of the time about what we're doing because we're all, as human beings, we're so wrapped up in our own lives. Like no one really gives a shit. And I'm over here tripping on what this person thinks or that person thinks. Like they don't care. They can care less most of the time.
No. And nobody's counting your drinks. I was the only one who used to count my drinks, or like maybe an ex would. But you think about when you were drinking, my memories, my world became a tunnel.
Yeah.
I could see in front of me and I could see my drink. So if somebody told me, like, you remember when you were out with Shane, how much was he drinking? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to keep from pissing my pants. That was my focus. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny, man. Let's talk a little baseball real quick, man. You mentioned you're a Phillies fan. You know, I'm a big Oakland A's fan out here. Well, take me back real quick to old school Phillies days, man. You said it was pretty rough. I got to visit the park 2 years ago and we had a great time, but I imagine that the culture and the environment's a bit different than it was back in the day.
Oh yeah. Veterans Stadium was famous. I mean, everybody says they're famous, but like, you know, that's the place where they threw snowballs at Santa. You know, it's been, my mom and dad had season tickets to the Eagles, and they stopped going to night games because they were at a game, and there was a Redskins fan who the fans stripped naked, broke his ribs, and threw him on the field. Damn. And there was fights every time you went to Veterans Stadium.
Yeah.
They stopped having Giants Eagles games there, and the Mets and Phillies games were always I went to Shea Stadium and there were 6 fights in the stands before the 3rd inning. I mean, full blown, like just cops everywhere.
Gosh.
But the thing that this is how bad it was at Veterans Stadium. They had a court underneath the stadium, and you can look it up. It was like it's when you got arrested, you got on an elevator, you went down 2 floors below the stadium, and you appeared before a judge.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And yeah, they had a holding cell down there, and you either like got a fine or you got sent to the Roundhouse, which was booking downtown.
Yeah.
Like the towers. And that, I mean, it was there wasn't any 2 options. They had security there. They deemed you were getting arrested. They handed you off to South Philly police, and you went before the judge.
So they already knew it was coming. They knew that, like, every game, okay, we already know what to expect. We got it ready to go.
In the old days, the stadium used to be done. The sections were almost done by neighborhoods.
Really?
Yeah. So like there would be like, it was weird. Like when you look back on it now, it sounds insane, but like tickets didn't used to cost $100 to go see a game.
Yeah.
I mean, they were reasonable, and it was a working class thing. And when you went to Veterans Stadium when I was a kid, you knew everybody in your section. And there would be another section and like, oh, those are the guys from South Philly, and those are the guys from Northeast Philly. And those people over there are all from Bucks County. And if there was somebody who was wearing an A's hat, or something like that, people would, bust balls. Like, you got a goddamn Cowboys fan in your section. And the guys in there would be like, get him out. And like, there was like this awful territorial pride. I had a buddy who brought a friend to a game. He said, he was a Minnesota Vikings fan. He goes, you can come, but I'm telling you, don't pull any of that shit.
Yeah.
And the Redskins scored a touchdown, and he stood up in the section, like, in your face. And a guy just reached across, froze, and knocked him out.
Damn.
And my buddy, I said, what did you do with him? He goes, I didn't know what to do. Like, I couldn't do anything. Everyone would have beat me up. And I mean, it's horrible. But that's how it used to be. So we were at a Phillies game, and I was on one of these stupid things where I was on a bus trip with a bunch of lifeguards. I used to be a lifeguard on the Jersey Shore, which all I did was drink. And it was great because I'd show up at 10 in the morning and I'd go sit in the water and sober up because you had an hour workout time. Yeah. And most of my mornings were, just sit in the ocean, splash water on your face, Thank God nobody got hurt, but that's what it was. I mean, we were young. You spent your money drinking. So I'm on this bus trip, and at the time, I'm one of the older guys. I'm like 19 or 20. And it's like 30 drunken teenagers. And it got bad early. I mean, the story's long, but we did a lot of stupid shit before that. And then we're in the stadium, and we got a section. And the younger kids are starting to lose it. Because we were pressuring them to drink. There was a couple of us who were like big drinkers. And one kid threw up on a family. And we were like, let's get out of here. These are kids, we're big 20-year-olds. So we go, like 3 of us. I was with this kid, Brady, and this kid, John. John, who just wrote a book on marijuana, living in Colorado called Legalized. I'm really proud of him. Yeah. And this other guy, Brady, is now a fireman. He's a big dude. He looks like you. He's a big, tough kid. And so we go around to jump in front of the Jumbotron. Remember the Jumbotron?
Oh, yeah.
They were like, let's go do the Jumbotron. We'll get on TV. So we go all the way over there, and it's all blocked off because it wasn't a sold-out game. And I'm like, shit, whatever. And Brady goes, let's run across the field. And I was like, ooh. And I say, this is my special, too. I was like, there's times in my life when I've been a follower, and like, this was one of them. Those 2 guys were like, yeah, let's run across the field. And I'm like, oh man, all right. And so they don't even miss a beat. They go right down to the bullpen on the right field fence and jump right onto the field.
No way.
Yeah. And I go, and it's like the 7th inning.
Yeah.
And I go and I hang off, and it was like one of those 15-foot, for the right field fence. It wasn't one of those little ones. So I'm hanging off the right field fence. I'm like, am I really going to do this? And I just let go. And I'm like, shit. Boom. And now I'm on the field. And, all drinking stories aren't bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I was in front of like 40-some thousand fans. I've never been on that, that type of thing. I'm in center field. I'm doing a cartwheel. We're doing cartwheels. And it was awesome. I mean, it was great. But then, of course it got bad. We got to third base. And I ran by my childhood hero, Larry Boa. He was the third base coach. And he's looking at us like we're idiots. And the security grabs us. And they're all South Philly guys. So they grab us rough. And they're like, criminal trespass, bitch. Criminal trespass. That's what they're saying. They're like, you now, criminal trespass, bitch. And Brady hears that for like the third time. And he's like, well, fuck it. And he breaks free and he runs down the third baseline. And he jumps on home plate. And he's jumping on home plate like he just won the World Series. Like arms in the air, screaming, pumping his fists.
What's the crowd doing? They just they're probably going, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are cheering. The Phillies sucked that year. I mean, they sucked. We were playing the Reds.
Oh, man.
So then the security grabs us up. And as soon as we get underneath the tunnel behind like the home plate area, they beat the shit out of Brady. I mean, two guys are holding him and this one guy's just kind of, heavy bagging him.
Damn.
Yeah. And his head's doing this and he's a tough guy. And he goes down and he goes, me and John are like two little kids, like, leave him alone! They just bitched. And Brady's like, I need medical service. I need medical service. And so they put us into the elevator and they're like, you're going before the judge, bitch.
Oh, wow.
And like that, now it's getting serious. Brady's knocked out. We're in the thing. They're taking us down to the police. And Brady looks up at me and like winks. He's like, got this. I'm like, okay, like signs of hope. So we go in. Brady goes to the infirmary. Me and John get thrown into this cell where one of the kids who were with was thrown up on people. He was in there crying. You know what I mean? And so all of a sudden I was scared to go into the holding cell. I'm like, man, there's probably some rough dudes in there. It was a 15-year-old I knew who was throwing up. I was like, I'm the toughest guy in the cell, So Brady, anyway, turns out Brady's dad was a lawyer. And he goes before the judge and the South Philly cops and the head of security. And he's like, yeah. And he's got his nose all bandaged up.
Oh,
and he's like, I'll pay the fine for criminal trespass, but this is my dad's card. I want to sue for assault.
Oh, wow.
And I can describe the guy who broke my nose. And the judge goes, hold on, let's see her. And he goes, I can describe him. And he describes the guy. And the head of security goes, I don't know the name, but he goes, that's Todd Halpin. He's a good guy.
Oh, shit.
And the judge and the cops just look at him like, you just gave him the goddamn guy's name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
That's
so,
smart.
Long story short, they released us. And we came out of the stadium. And they released us out of the same exit the players were going to come out of.
Oh, wow.
So when we go out there, there's the 25 drunks we came with who were scared we were going to jail, plus all the fans.
Yeah.
And when our friends started cheering, when we came out, all the fans started cheering. We were like, high-fiving people.
Holy shit.
They're like, you didn't go to the roundhouse. I'm like, fuck no. Like, yeah, we were like heroes. It was a good day. Yeah, I mean, the problem is you can't do that for 20 years straight.
No.
Yeah.
But it's a hell of a story, and it's funny when you're describing coming out too. All of a sudden, you were talking about that, and now I got this sound and flash of like the Rocky song playing, just like just all fucking cheered up, and everyone's cheering, man. That's funny, man. That's a good. I mean, alcohol is alcohol. It makes you do some dumb shit. But yeah, you're right. There's some fun times and some dumb times at the same time. But yeah, that's fun, man. Good stuff. Yeah, hopefully,
and I needed it when I was that age. I was scared of the world.
Yeah,
and I wasn't when I was drinking. So that's why I gravitated to drugs and alcohol. But at a certain point, there's all the analogies. You need alcohol and drugs to ride the ship, and then eventually alcohol and drugs are driving the ship, and the next thing you know, the ship's on the rocks.
Yeah,
and that's what happened with me. It was like I immediately fell in love with it. And then I slowly, it became less fun and took over my life. There's a whole difference from like, having a morning drink cause it's funny and you got the day off to I have to drink to brush my teeth. You know what I mean? Cause I'm shaking too much.
Yeah.
That's
a big difference.
Yeah. And you can't live in the past. I have as many good memories and stories in sobriety as I did the little, the 15 highlights from a 20-year drinking and drug career.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's way more. That was a fun story. I got way more, humiliating stories that no one saw. Like me alone missing the toilet and smacking my head on waking up with a ham sandwich that looks like I threw it through a wood chipper. You know what I mean? Just like, with cigarette burns in my legs, Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So being sober is a good deal for me.
What's your take, man, on, and I always love talking about this part too, about being a sober father, man. I know you have a son. You have 2 kids or 1?
I have 2 kids.
2 kids. Okay.
Yeah. I have an 8-year-old daughter and I got a 5.5-year-old son. I don't know how. It's just not possible. The way I want to raise my kids. I know how old's you have 1?
I have 2. So Lucy's 9 and Cash is 4.
Right. That's right. Cause we're close.
We're close, I think.
Yeah. My daughter's a year younger and my son's a year older.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I went to the Renaissance Fair last weekend. I took him to the Natural History Museum before that. I'm doing just driving. It's just not possible to be the father I want to be if I'm doing drinking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Other stuff, and I found this out during the relapse. I mean, I got sober when my son was, he's 5.5 when he's 4 months old. Mm. And that last year was just white knuckling, falling off the wagon. It was, 3 days, 5 days, 4 days, 5 days. I wanted to get sober because I knew, what this was about. But my experience is it's the chance of being a good dad and the likelihood of being an occasional piece of shit dad. Hmm. Like when I'm drinking, I'm going to miss stuff. Yeah. My temper is paper thin. At any moment I could go over, cross the line and make something a big deal. Yeah. I said, keep it down, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. When I'm sober, I just listen better. I'm kinder. I'm there. I'm not cutting trips short because, I really got to have a drink right now. Mm. Or I'm not really listening or, it's not even fair to compare it. It's, it's like, do you want to have your kid raised by Gandhi or Ted Bundy? I mean, for me, when I'm being honest, I know that my experience with me drinking in relationships with my wife, she saw me when I went out, but previous to that, when I was in relationships, when I was using, I married my wife sober and all that. So she's got good history with me. But, these are people I supposedly cared about that I treated like crap and I had no patience for, and I yelled at and I lied and I disappeared. So the thought of doing that to kids is, I just can't do it. I created my life around the fact that I wanted to be there all the time for my kids. Part of it's because I don't want anybody else raising them. Yeah. And I want to be there for all this stuff. And so I've made a choice. I don't go on the road. I'm there. I haven't missed anything. And I like that. And you can see it in my kids, I think. Yeah. I mean, my kids, they cuddle up to me like cats. You know what I mean? Like I come home and it's just like, all right now, like they're just in me. And they call me all the time. It's like the same thing with the sponsor. Like my kids ask me questions and talk to me now. I don't want to find out, I don't want to be one of those parents who finds out my kid was dealing with stuff or had issues or fears or had a problem when they're 17 and the cops call me. Like what? Oh, I had no idea. Yeah. I want to be there. Yeah. I can't guarantee they're going to have a better life or not have a problem with drugs, alcohol, whatever problems are down the lane for new kids, internet addiction. I don't know. Yeah. But I know this. I don't want to be blindsided by it. And the way I can do that is I'm involved in my kid's life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned too about having to disappear real quick to get a drink. And I remember the first time we took Lucy to Disneyland. Cash wasn't born yet. But I remember finding it so hard to be able to not be able to have a beer in there. You know what I mean? Not be able to drink. So we're talking I can't even go to Disneyland without worrying about how I'm going to get my perk on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I don't do that shit anymore. It's stressful. It's like a stressful way to live. Like how am I going to get, okay, wait, now if I do, you start plotting and planning on how it all revolves around that, man. And it's great to be free from that.
For me, I remember when Lily was little and I would go to the park hungover. And I knew I wanted to get her to the park every day, but I'd get up and I'd be like bloodshot eyes. I get her to the park. I think all the parents knew I was hungover. So I'd try extra hard to play, and just sweating it out. And like, I was trying to overcompensate, like I'm with you. And then I also remember times where I'm like, all right, that's 2 hours. Let's go. We're going to go to the pizza place. And I knew the pizza place would have a beer. And I'm like, I can have one beer and then get her home. What a nightmare of like, like trying to make everything fit into my, world.
Yeah.
And just, forcing that, like, hey, you got to find a place where you can drink. You got to cut the, it just doesn't happen anymore. It makes life so much easier.
Yep.
I wasn't doing myself any favors by having one 16-ounce beer and going, all right, now I can drive home. Yeah. And then she drop her off. Then I can have a drink and drive a little buzz to work. And if I get hammered at work, I can leave my car there.
Yeah.
Like that's how my days were planned. Looking down at the ground, trying to avoid disaster, justifying this nonsense. Now, I mean, when they say like happy, joyous, and free, all those things that sound ridiculous. Hey man, I drive like this now. Instead of like this.
Yeah.
I better take the side streets. A lot of cops, because
I had a lady, I was taking Cash to school a couple days ago actually. And I can't remember what was going on, but I was sitting at the light and I had my hand, kind of back like this. I was talking to him. He's telling me something about school, I think. And I guess the light had turned green and my head was turned back. Right. And so all of a sudden I hear this horn. I mean, someone just laid on the horn, right?
Yeah.
Like excessively, not just a little, beep, beep, hey, move your ass.
Yeah.
And I look in my rearview mirror and this lady behind me is just fucking going ape shit. I mean, she's literally flipping me off, like, learn how to fucking drive. Like, and I'm going, wow. And the old me, you know what I mean? Oh man. Yeah. I would have just went. And you know what I did, man? I took a breath and I went, man, this, number one, I said, this broad she's crazy right now. Is there something going on here? But she went around me. She saw Cash in the car. She was flipping me off and yelling. And that goes back to the point being is like, that's something that's going on in her life. Like that's on her. It has nothing to do with me. And the only way that I know how to deal with a situation like that is because of recovery, like straight up. Like that's the only, because the principles that I've learned, I'm like, okay, I know. Whereas back in the day, I would have taken that real personal. I would have gotten to an argument with her, with my son in the crowd, but flipping her off too. I don't have to do that anymore. And my day was completely fine. And I, she probably ruined her damn day.
Yeah. Listen, if you're like life's a mess like mine was, the chance to engage in some rage, like, perfect. Yeah. Like, let's jump, like throw me in the pit. Yeah. Any chance you get, I'll yell, I'll get mad. It's, and it's true. I see it all the time. Like, I'm in LA, I hate driving. I try and make my life so I drive as little as possible. But you see it. There's people who, they love honking the horn. I mean, I work in Beverly Hills. People lay on the horn in Beverly Hills like it's nothing. Like they just free for all, horns, yelling out the window. Yeah. But that's, I mean, most of that's fear. Like you stop that person around, they go, did you have a problem? And not that you want to, but they're not doing that in their everyday life. They're not doing that when they're with people. Yeah. But that's like people who love yelling online. Yeah. Like when you have a horn and you're going 60 miles an hour, you can beep your horn and flip the bird to whoever you want. It's the same thing with people online. You suck, you're fat, a bunch of hate. Like that's Haters. Just all nonsense. Yeah.
I love saying, you're not mad at me, you're mad at your dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like if me, the 10 seconds you have to wait at the green light, Yeah. And especially when it's not something where, you weren't there doing this. You were like talking to your kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've done that other thing. I've done that. I've been on my phone before at the light waiting. And I can take that. Okay, but I mean, I was talking to my son. Like it wasn't like I was whatever. But hey, you mentioned LA too real quick. And I'm just kind of curious. Like I know there's a big recovery scene down in LA. Yeah. Been down there a little bit. Like what does that look like down there? And do you see any like like, what are the positives? What are the challenges that you're seeing in the recovery community, like with regard to media, entertainment? Do you have any thoughts on that, or just curious?
Yeah, I mean, my take on recovery in LA has changed. When I first moved here from New York, I found all the differences.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was spoiled in Manhattan that I had 20 meetings I could walk to at any time. And I became really used to that. LA's different. I mean, you got to drive, you got to find the meetings.
Yeah.
And at first I found all the differences. I went in there and I saw, people dressed like rock stars and, some models. And I was like, man, forget it.
Yeah.
Then I got desperate and I was like, I got to go to meetings, and I threw myself in, and there's some really good recovery out here. Some of it, you may not like every meeting. The good thing is there's a ton of meetings, and I found meetings that I really like. And I found some good people with some good recovery out here. And, one of the things people say, like the kookiness of LA, sometimes that has benefits. Like people, there's a bolt for every nut, You want somebody who knows the best yoga, meditation, sober place, you're going to find him here. You want to know somebody who has who likes being in a band where it's like a sober community of musicians, you got them here. And yeah, I found everything from, you see everybody, anonymity, but you're going to be surprised, and you're going to be surprised at where the gems come from, like the words of wisdom, and the person who says, why don't you, come with us, we're going to lunch, and where I got a men's stag you should check out. The recovery's good out here. You just got to dig a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. I went to a men's stag 2 weekends ago, and I saw my buddy Charlie. He got his 30-year chip, man. It's pretty damn cool to see, just an old basketball coach of mine, good dude. And I just love seeing that, gratitude, positivity, and 30 years, man, that's a long time to stay sober,
Yeah.
Well, let's, I have one more question actually that came in too, and I want to ask that. And then let's, be respectful of your time and stuff, and we'll wrap this up. And I want to hear, what it's like today for you, and any advice you might have for someone out there struggling. First, the question was kind of interesting question too. Came from Tanya, and she said, my boyfriend's on probation for 6 months for a public intoxication charge, and plans to stay sober until he completes his last day of probation. If he should go back to drinking at a moderate amount, she put that in quotes, is that considered a relapse to you? What helped you decide you can't let alcohol back in your life? Yeah, I know that's a tough one.
No, there's so many hypotheticals and stuff like that. Like, I don't know her boyfriend. I don't know if he's an alcoholic. Yeah, he could be a heavy drinker. Well, I know guys.
That's funny. She put in parentheses here too. It says, however that much is for an alcoholic.
Well,
it depends.
It's an alcoholic is, and there's all. That's the one thing about alcoholism. It's self-diagnosed. Yeah. I know people call themselves alcoholics because every New Year's they got hammered. Yeah. Whatever. You know what I mean? I had 365 New Years in a row every year. And, but yeah, so maybe your boyfriend, listen, the other thing I tell people too, if every time you drink, it causes a problem, you might have a problem with alcohol. Yeah. So, if public intoxication, if that's the thing, I got a friend who he gets drunk. He doesn't think he can't drive. That's his thing. I don't know if he's an alcoholic. I feel blessed that there's no doubt in my mind. And and anybody around me, it wasn't like maybe here or there. You're an alcoholic. You're a drug addict. Done. But maybe for your boyfriend, if drinking causes him problems a lot, and he's trying not to drink anymore, drinking again in a moderate amount would be a relapse if you're a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sure.
It's funny too, because I don't I'm really unclear, and this is just my own personal take on it. I don't know what a moderate amount is because I could never moderate my drinking. You know, it was just as soon as I went, I just went, and I didn't even count really. I just went for it, you know. So
if it's not coming out your nose, that's moderate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I'll tell this. Maybe this is. I don't want to be clever. This is a serious question. Sometimes we get cocky in recovery, thinking that everybody knows how it works. And people have questions. Here's a serious question. I would say this. If your boyfriend goes 6 months without drinking and his life gets better and your relationship gets better, not, unicorns and rainbows every day.
Yeah.
But you see a high score, low score difference. This is a better life. Then I would take a strong look at whether you're willing to accept your boyfriend going back to drinking.
That's good.
Put that out there. Say like, hey, life is good. Or even just be honest with your boyfriend. Say, aren't you happy you're not drinking?
Yeah.
And see what happens then. Then if he drinks and everything works out, great for you. He probably isn't an alcoholic. If he drinks and he starts getting arrested again and there's problems piling up, that's a good sign that alcohol is a problem.
That's good.
So,
man. That's really
give
good.
him 6 months and just leave it at that. Say, it's an experiment. 6 months. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see how many times you get arrested. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's end this on a positive note today. We had a lot of positive things anyways on there, but I always like to hear at the end, like what life's like today, man. You're really thriving. I can feel it, man. We have a good energy. This has been a great conversation. And like you said, it's not always unicorns and rainbows, but for the most part, it's a lot lighter than it used to be, man.
Yeah, life. And listen, talking to you, it's easy. I get grateful that I'm in recovery. I'm talking to someone else in it.
Yeah.
Generally, that's the beginning of a good day. Getting grateful. I've got shows coming up. I'm doing May 18th. I'm doing the Sycamore Tavern, the Comedy Dojo, and then June 7th, I'm back at the Comedy Store on Friday night, which is that's dynamite. But I'm not going to make a big deal about it. Like you said, I try and wear life like a loose garment, which some days I'm good at, some days I'm bad.
Yeah.
But it's a practice, and my life is good today because, I can take the time to take a breath, go, man, I never had it so good. As far as, I still work. I work 2 jobs, great. Life's coming at me all the time. I got to worry about stuff, but I don't have to worry about stuff. And when so it's good. I'm lucky too that I see people who supposedly have everything and they seem miserable to me.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for. I mean, that's the lesson of the Greeks. You might get what you wish for, the Midas touch. Everything I touch turns to gold, including my wife, my daughter, my friends, my flowers, whatever it is I care about. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole lesson of the Greeks. I have a strange freedom now with my next special is going to be about, basically about God.
Yeah.
And that's something that because I know I'm not the only one in recovery that doesn't fall into a organized religion.
Sure.
And, I don't know your feelings on this. We've never talked about it, but I know I'm not the only one out there that, because there's so much talk about finding a higher power in God.
Yeah.
I just like to tell people this, like, there's as many gods as there are people. Everybody's got their own, whether they want to admit it or not. I mean, you put 40 people in a room who all claim to be Christian. They're going to tell you the 40 most important parts of the Bible that are all different and interpretations are different. It's like my hobby. I study religions and mythology. And so I had to finally come to a point where I go, God's a thought in my head. It's a there's nobody coming in a chariot to judge me. It's a thought in my head. And for me, it's boiled down to I got using a comedian's reference here. There's 2 voices in my head, and one of them's kind of like the force of good, and one of them is kind of a force of destruction.
Yeah.
It's going to try and tear me down, get me to drink again, judge people, be destructive, pull the ripcord, all that kind of stuff. And there's another voice that's saying, hey, people are good. You're a good person. You can make the next right decision. You can stay sober. You can get through this. You can be there. And I have to decide who I'm going to give the mic, who's getting the stage time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my practice is making sure the force of good is, getting all the stage time.
Yeah.
And just knowing the other person's on the wings waiting to jump up. And that's that's my religious philosophy right now.
I can tell too, man, that you're very passionate about that. And that also it's hard to talk about sometimes because it is a touchy subject and people get weird about that stuff when you talk about it. Now I have my own take on it, man. I came from, I was raised Catholic.
Me too.
Stand, sit, do all, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I love Jesus. Like I love God. I have my own relationship, but I can't stand religion. Like I think that religion has really messed a lot of things up, I think. And I'll just play it. That's a really kind of simple and almost dumb way to put it. I don't really know how else to say it other than I can only share God through my own experience. Mm-hmm. Whatever my experience is, that's how I can share God. Because I've questioned a lot of stuff especially in the last last few years since I got sober, and I'm kind of on that hunt too. Sometimes I find myself questioning, and then at the end of the day, I go, you know what? Does it really matter? I don't need to know everything. I'm just going to kind of roll with it, And at the same time, I want to know everything. So it makes it really, really difficult.
I grew up, Irish Catholic, which for me meant, I was a sheep. Stand, sit. No one ever explained anything to me.
Same here.
You just got to have faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm raising kids now where I'm not going to tell them, hey, use your mind, be logical. There's a place at the center of the earth where you may burn forever. I told my daughter that. She was like, somebody held up a sign at a parade, said you're all going to burn in hell. She's like, what's hell? And I told her what it was, and she started laughing at me. And she goes, the center of the earth is magnetic. And I'm like, okay. But because she wasn't raised with that kind of fear imposed on her.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like anytime your religion's trying to scare the shit out of you, you might have the wrong religion.
Yeah.
And the thing, like Jesus, right? I got a sister who's born again, big time. And listen, if you go to Buddha, you go to the ancient book, the Old Testament with Moses and what was his son's name? Jonah, the one who changed his name to Israel. Anyway, him, Zeus, and Jesus. If you boil everything away, their main teachings were be kind to strangers, be a good host, love thy neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no questions about that. Everything else is part of the packaging.
Well, I think that's where man comes in and corrupts a lot of stuff. Man has corrupted so much. I feel like I can't remember how somebody put it recently, but I heard if you took a park and there was nothing in the park but the trees, the nature, the birds, the bees, whatever. That park is pristine, and it's completely not. There's no evil in that park. It's genuine. It's free. It's it's real. And then you put man in there. Man makes that place evil in some sense. You know what I mean? And so I know I'm not describing that analogy correctly, but it was something similar to that. And it makes sense to me. Like we put a lot of crap along with the simplicity that you just described of love your neighbor, love in general, really.
It's not easy to do, and it doesn't sell a lot of tickets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why AA connects so bad with people who, if you're struggling with that, the reason AA feels so good, it's all those lessons.
Yeah.
Newcomer walks in, what do? Judge them, sneer them, give them looks? No. You shoot your hand out to them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is the true form of Xenia, which is what the Old Testament and the Greeks were talking about. Like, hey man, there's a stranger, be nice to him.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have any money, you can't put anything in the bucket, you're welcome here.
Yeah.
That's it. That stuff that happens in recovery, the reason it feels so weird and so good if you allow it is because it's what community is supposed to be. There's no hey, everybody here wears a suit and everybody over there likes to they're all from this part of Europe and all the people at this church. Like in a recovery meeting, it's like, you got a problem, you need some help, we're here for you, free of charge.
Yeah.
That feels good, man.
Yeah.
And one of the best things that happened with AA is that it didn't, in the early days, is that it didn't take outside sponsorship and all that kind of stuff, because it would have been Alcoholics Anonymous, sponsored by Anheuser-Busch in the Hilton. And, you just pay a one-time only, joining fee, and you get a newsletter, and you elect politicians to be in charge. It would have been a disaster.
Oh,
and that's what happens in religions. And all you have to do, I don't, I told you it's my favorite hobby, but if you want to look, if you want to look over, like, how many revisions were done to pick a religion, and how many times it was rewritten in accordance with what was going on in those times, people, forget.
Well, so it's funny. It's funny that this came up, man. This is why I love doing this shit too, because this organic shit, we didn't plan on talking about any of that stuff. But I went into digging into, way back into like the days of the Phoenicians and the ball, like ballism, and how you just mentioned those stories, from what I've researched or whatever, they were written, and a lot of them have been repurposed over the years. My buddy Sean B put it good one day. He goes, you know what? He goes, all the religions at the end of the day, kind of what you said earlier about the basis of love, they're really the same. They just have different characters with different costumes. And I go, yeah, that's a fucking good way to put it right there, in a sense,
Yeah, you were talking the Phoenicians and the Assyrians and the Babylonians. They had either it was metal. Yeah, they would have Marduk was one of the gods, and Baalal, and they were both thunder. Like they rode on thunder. They rode on clouds. And in the Old Testament, what they did was they would say, God rode in on a cloud, and his name was Yahweh. And it was just taken exactly. They just changed the name because, and it makes sense. It was familiar to the people around. We see it today, like, and when you watch movies, there's only so many stories. They can be twisted and turned. But when you look at them and you go, what's this story really about? Is it about me doing this or like having hand signals? What's the story trying to tell me? 99% of the time, this story is trying to tell you to be appeal to your better graces. Yeah. Stop being an asshole. Like, your first thought isn't your best sometimes.
Yeah, that's good, man. Good.
We're the only animal on the planet that fucks, kills, and eats too much. That's our problem. If that's free will, that's what free will get you. Like I'm going to eat all day. I'm going to screw as many people as I can. I'm going to kill anybody who gets in my way. There's no animal that does that.
Yeah, that's straight evil.
No, we just. That's why we need religions. Like trying to keep that a little bit at bay.
Yeah, a little bit.
You add alcohol to it, and we're even more destructive.
Yeah, then it's really bad. Then it's a whole new monster.
Yeah, you're fucking things you killed.
We're gonna have to get into that maybe another time a little bit deeper, because I'd like to chat with you more about that. It really is interesting, and it's that's the thing. It's like I know what I've been told for so long. Okay, I understand that. I understand what I've read and what I've researched, and trust me, there's way more that I can do and probably need to do. But at the end of the day, I just don't really know. I just know what my reality is right now. I know that I'm sober. I know that I had some sort of spiritual experience, whatever name we want to put on it. And I know it saved my life. You know what I mean? Straight up. And I think when I keep it simple like that, I can explore. I have free will to do that. And I think that's okay to do that. But at the end of the day, man, simplicity for me is the way to try to go about it,
Yeah, you said the best thing, the absolute best thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
you appreciate it. You're in all of it. It's not simple, and you don't know. Yeah. Anytime people tell me, "I know," then I go, "Whoa, easy." You know what I mean? Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. You know the way, and everyone else is wrong. Okay. Yeah. That's when I go, have fun. But yeah, if somebody says I'm searching, I'm looking, and I don't know, dynamite.
Sure.
Dynamite. Yeah.
Yep. And then you can weigh pros and cons. You can weigh different opinions or facts or whatever, that's that compiled kind of evidence or whatever the hell it is. Who knows?
I hope you never know.
I hope I don't ever know either. And I'm sure I won't.
Yeah.
My sponsor always says, the older I get, the less I know. And I go, I love that. I'm taking that one onwards. All right, man. Well, let's do this, man. Any advice for a newcomer out there, man? And then let's wrap this thing up. I want you to plug your contact info, any new projects and stuff too. But what advice for someone who's new, who's trying to get sober or stay sober?
Give yourself a break. You know what I mean? It's doable. It's not. I guarantee it's not going to be the end of the world if you don't have drugs and alcohol in your life. I guarantee it. Do an experiment. If you're curious about the world, see what happens when you walk through this scary thing. And I'll tell you, the best thing I heard is fear is 5 miles high, 10 miles wide, and paper thin. If you just walk through that fear of putting your hand out to someone else who knows how to stay sober, and you say, I'm going to give this a shot, just take that first step down the path. It'll be okay. You can go back to whatever you're doing. Just give it a try. Give yourself a break. Take your hands off your own throat, and trust that maybe in this situation, people who've done something and are continuing to do it may have some good advice on how you can do it too. You know what I mean? Just, good, and I guarantee you, it's not going to be something where they make you sign a contract, make you believe in something you don't believe in your heart. Just listen, just for once, try and quiet the judges in your head and listen to somebody. And if you don't like what they hear, go to the next person. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Dude, where can folks find you at?
Well, my special is on Amazon Prime. It's called A Stumble in the Woods. And I really focused on, how I got from point A to point rehab. And I'm performing, May 18th at the Sycamore, June 7th at the Comedy Store. And I'm supposed to be at the Improv next month too.
What day?
I'm not sure the date yet. I don't think they announced it.
Holler at me when you find out, man. Maybe it's around the same time. I'm probably going to come down at least a day before. So maybe we can link up and hit a meeting or something, or who knows.
Absolutely. I live 4 blocks from the Improv.
Oh, awesome, dude.
We could definitely get together. And you can look on my Facebook at Matt Gallagher Comedy. So okay. I'm terrible at social media, but that's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
Stuff, man. Hey, dude, I really enjoyed the chat today, man. Thank you, bro, for taking the time out.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I like talking to you. You're a good guy. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, man. You too, brother.
All right.
Man, check us out at thatsoberguy.com. You can connect with us on Instagram at realthatsoberguy and at Shane Raymer on Twitter. Peace, love, respect, and keep the blood clean.
So keep my head on straight. I've been trying to keep my head on straight. You still say that I don't know anything about you. Oh, I don't know anything about you, but I know what you do in the back room. And you still say that I don't know anything about you.